Alright guys, welcome back. So today we have a Kitana Tremor guide. Now, I never thought that I would be going over this team, but right now we are in a Tremor meta. We're actually in a HP meta, but if you look in tournaments and stuff, like the Southern America tournaments, everybody's playing Tremor. Like they're playing quite literally every single character with Tremor. I always thought Kitana Tremor wasn't that great, and in general, if you're looking for an 1100 team, you can obviously play Jax, but as I play more with this team, it's very simple and it works. Like it helps with her RPS, it helps with her in general strings and like maintaining pressure, but it also gives her a throw combo, and you have utility when it comes to body blocking projectiles and all sorts of stuff like that. It actually works pretty well. I've been using it the past week or so, and I think it's okay. Like it's pretty good. Like if you don't want to put in the work for Jax, Jax is too much for you, and you don't feel like dealing with ground pound and flying all around the screen and doing all that, Tremor can work. So let's get into that. Yes, I'm sick again. If you've been on this channel, you know, like you just kind of know at this point, like I'm sick. I'm always goddamn sick. I'm always gonna sound different, like But let's get into combos. We're gonna go over combos. We're gonna go over generally how to use Tremor, which is gonna be important because people think this cameo is a lot more complicated than he actually is. And then we are just going to go general tech and final thoughts. So let's get into this guide. All right, so let's talk about Tremor specific moves and how Katana can utilize them in a match. Let's just talk about cameo switching. So Tremor has three different forms that you can go into. It goes in the order of Aftershock, Metallic, and then the Crystalline. It will always go in that order no matter what. You can press down to swap the order. So what I mean by this is if you refer to it just as AMC, you could think of it like as AMC movie theaters or whatever. That's the best way to remember it. If I am in Crystalline, the next thing I'm going to go to is going to always be Aftershock if I press R1 by itself. So if I'm in Aftershock, the next thing if I press R1 is going to be Metallic. Even if I swap back to Aftershock and I do R1 again, it's going to go to Metallic. A, M, C. And then if you press down R1, it will switch to the opposite end of your stance switch. So right now I'm in Aftershock, and if I wanted to go to Metallic, I would press R1. But if I was in Aftershock and I wanted to go straight to Crystalline, which is going to be 2 phases over, I'm going to press down R1 and that will swap to Crystalline. So that's the best way I can remember it. Other than that, this is very, very good to just be able to use it neutral and body block projectiles, body block moves in general. So like for example, if you're fighting Cyrax and she's gonna sit here and do this all day, and you're throwing projectiles and you trade with her, that's obviously a full combo. She teleports full screen. If she's using Serena or whatever, you're in a very bad situation for trading with this projectile. But with Tremor, when you're fighting characters like this, you can reactionary call him and he'll eat the projectile in general. It's very, very good. So like I can maintain my zoning and react and then, you know, have him come out and eat the projectile rather than me eating the trade and dying. It also even works against Kameo projectiles, so I could sit here and eat Sonya Kameo, which a lot of characters love to halfway charge Sonya Kameo and then teleport. Just note that like if you fully charge Sonya, it goes through Kameo, so you can't actually body block that. Just an FYI. I know this is about Sonya, and we're trying to talk about Tremor, but just something to mention. Other than that, that's exactly what you're going to be using it for. You're going to be using it to body block, and you need to memorize the order in which you're going to be switching, which is Aftershock, Metallic, Crystalline. All right, so let's talk about specific stances now. So if you actually have ever watched Tremor be played with any other team, you know that we're not going to be normally sitting in a stance and then just raw calling something on block. Normally, if you didn't know, Tremor can swap stances and then you can call the input again and he can do every single cameo call that he has as an ambush, which makes him very unique. But in general, let's start off by talking as if we're just sitting in the stance and what we can do when we're on the stance itself rather than swapping and using it as an ambush. So Aftershock. Basically, there's not much to talk about here with any of this stuff raw. When we get to the ambush section, it'll be a lot more in depth as to what she can do. But if you're in Aftershock, basically you have forward cameo, which is going to be a just straight punch that's going to push them backwards. Very good to just draw in your strings to create space. It also jails off of Kitana's 1-1. So if you want to create space and make yourself 0 on block and just kind of reset neutral, that is a good thing to use on block. Other than that, you're not going to normally be calling like low raw on block. It's completely punishable, and Kitana doesn't even have an overhead, so I don't know why anybody would sit here and get mixed by that or something, unless you're, I guess, doing something weird like this. Not good to call out. Other than that, the last move that you have is going to be Uppercut. Uppercut is fully punishable on block, so if you do not hit confirm this and you try to go for a combo, then you are going to get punished. But if they aren't blocking, it's good to come in to go into if you only have like half a cameo bar. So if I like hit my 1-1 and I hit confirm it, then I can go into uppercut and launch them that way. That's the basics of just Aftershock by itself. Let's go into the next dance. Alright, so Metallic, I realize I should probably have all the cameo moves pinned like I normally do, so you guys can see them. But Metallic, it's very similar to Aftershock actually, just it's kind of, when you're in the stance by itself, it's kind of just Aftershock's like ugly cousin. Like, in general, you want to be using Aftershock the most and switching to Aftershock when we get to the ambush cameo section. But regardless, very similar things. So you have your forward cameo, which is your just straight burst. It's good. You can use it on block once again, same thing as Aftershock to set neutral, blah, blah, blah. This one is +4, however, it doesn't jail. So like, if you're in Aftershock, you can reset neutral and it will jail, but this doesn't jail on block. They can armor and, you know, but regardless, you can still use it that way if you would like to. You have Eruption, which I don't know why you would ever use this. It's your up cameo. You can anti-air people with it, but it doesn't work in the same sense as Aftershock when it comes to like hit confirms. So you can't like do 1-1 into this and get a combo. Oh, I didn't have any cameo bar. Like it will whiff. And even on hit, it's like not very good. Like you would never do that raw. And then you have his projectile, which is actually pretty decent. If you hold it, he'll throw an overhead version. And then if you just call it low, call it regular, he'll throw a low version. It's good. You can just use it in your zoning and stuff. Like the overhead one, I would like do this and like, you know, throw a fan or whatever. They combo into each other. Even probably into EX down back 3 now that I think about it. Yeah, those combo and you confirm an effect that way. But overall, not the best stance to be sitting in raw. Still, that would definitely probably go to Aftershock. But let's go into the last stance, which is going to be Crystalline. All right, so the last stance we're going to talk about is going to be Crystalline. So if you watch people play Tremor, they're always sitting in Crystalline. Like whenever they're in neutral, whenever they're trying to do something, they're always going to be in Crystalline stance. It's not because Crystalline is necessarily the most broken stance by any mean. It's because it is an easy switch to Aftershock, which is the most broken stance. So if you tap R1, as you remember the AMC thing, If you go from Crystalline, you go straight to Aftershock, which gives you the broken ambushes. Once again, we'll talk about that after this, but Crystalline in general is pretty good, I think, to even sit in neutral and stuff. So similar to Aftershock, forward Kameo pushes them back a lot. It's -8, but it pushes them back a lot and it jails after your 1-1. If you're looking to reset neutral and stuff, you can still kind of do this. I guess -8 isn't really resetting neutral by any means, but nothing's going to really punish you from this range besides maybe like T1000. I don't think Lee May's EX kick will hit from that range, but don't quote me on that. I haven't actually tested it. Other than that, a lot of people don't actually utilize it, but it's a projectile reflect. So if I wanted to reflect a projectile like Cyrax, once again, this matchup, you're going to be having to watch out for that trade. This can actually reflect it and full combo punish her every single time you reflect it. It's pretty good. I don't see a lot of people use it. The only thing about it is like if you call it a little too late, he'll just get hit rather than reflecting it, which I mean is still fine. Like you're not getting hit, so I would like to see more people go for that in the future. Other than that, up next we have her back cameo call, which is going to be Crystalline, or Crystal Armor, sorry. If you think of this as MKX Crystalline Armor, absolutely not. That was broken. That doesn't do that. In this game, if you have it on, you can absorb hits, but you will actually keep put into a block stun. So I think it's generally pretty good for Kitana, just due to the fact that all of her gaps have strings. I mean, all of her strings have gaps, excuse me. So like when you have this on, it's really good because like for example, certain characters have armor launchers and certain characters, you know, like Cyrax, her armor actually leads into a safe jump. You don't really want to just be eating that when you're trying to pressure people. So when you put this on and you go for something that has a gap in it, you can absorb the armor and you can still punish them, which is really good. So you don't have to worry about like baiting things out. You can kind of just do what you want. Even stuff like, you know, doing EX down by 3 when people are going to mash or can punish you, you are not going to be able to be punished because you have this armor on. So I think it is pretty good for that reason. Like that's so good, so good. And your cameos refilling in the meantime, then you do your whole entire combo, and then you jump in and you go for like Aftershock, low or whatever, some mix up like that. I think it's pretty good. Anyways, other than that, we have the up cameo, which is new, and it's a leap, I guess. I think it's okay. You can do some like gimmicky stuff if you're swapping into Crystalline. Most importantly, like if you're playing Kitana and you have it set under them or something, like in the corner or whatever you want. Like I do this with what's her name, Chameleon a lot. But if you were to like do something like this, you can leap off of it, and then instead of putting yourself into the corner, you can do like a jump 1 into down by 2 and fly back across the screen. Stuff like that is cool. Other than that, it doesn't have very much use, I'm not gonna lie. I don't use it very often. It's very okay. And then you can also throw it. If you throw it, it's plus on block though. So that's pretty good. I also don't see people use that, and that will jail into like your follow-up too. So just so you know, you can like do something like this and like, I don't know, do some gimmicky word stuff. Pretty interesting. But that's it for Crystalline. I think we're good to go on to the ambush section, which is going to be the most important part because it's going to explain how to properly use this cameo. So let's get into that. All right, so Tremor's ambush system and understanding how it works. So in my mind, Tremor has unlimited potential when it comes to ambush cameos, just due to the fact that as long as you remember the stance and the direction of the input that you want, you can use any of the moves that I showed you guys as an ambush. So right now, I'm in Crystalline. Remembering that whole AMC thing I talked about, I know that my next switch is going to be Aftershock if I tap R1, and it is going to give me access to any of the Aftershock moves as an ambush call. So, right, so tap R1 and press forward R1, I get the forward input, I can get the up input, I can get the back input. Also, same thing with Metallic, if I was to press down, I can get the forward input, I can get the up input, I can get the back input. As long as you're not on the stance that you want, you can swap into it and use that as ambush. So normally, when you see people sitting on Crystalline, it's due to just ease of access and easy to remember, and ease of execution. So like in general, on a whim, tapping R1 to go into Aftershock is easier than being on Metallic and pressing down R1, and it's just easier to remember. And in general, Aftershock has the best cameo ambushes out of all of the Tremor stances. It has the access to the ground pound, which can lead to hard to blockables. It has access to the mid punch, which is very good. And actually the uppercut is even better to make unsafe special safe and launch them and all types of stuff like that. So people are sitting on here on Crystalline. I do the same thing when I play, but I can also, once again, sit on Metallic and do the exact same thing. But people are normally sitting on Crystalline, once again, just for the ease of access to Aftershock. But in general, when you're sitting here and you're switching to Aftershock, you get access to a lot of things. You get easy access to your armor launcher, you get easy access to your throw combo, you get easy access to like your unsafe stuff on block and to Tremor to make you safe. This is very good to help Kitana with her RPS and things like that. So like normally after back 2-4, right, with other cameos, this is also why I used to use Cyrex a lot back when he was broken at the beginning days of MK1. When you're playing Kitana, like it's safe for people to generally just check with down 1 after this. Even if you do EX down back 3, for example, if I'm playing Cyrex and I'm fighting a Kitana player and they do like this on block, and I was down 1 here, I can still block. So I can check her easily after that, and the best way to stop somebody from doing stuff like that against Kitana and make them actually respect you is to actually do something that is unsafe, which would be like down back 1, which will launch them, or would be like down forward 2. But there's a lack of cameos right now that will like let her do that and be safe. Like Tremor is actually one of them, so it helps with her pressure, getting away with stuff like this, launching them if they try to mash there, and then if they get hit, I mean, launching them if they try to mash, and then if they were to block, you can make yourself completely safe. That stuff is very, very strong. But in general, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do as Tremor with the ambushes, and I'm just gonna go over a whole bunch of the tech and stuff that I found and kind of just compile it after this. And then we'll be back for final thoughts and just talking about how this cameo is played. I know this is kind of complicated and it sounds like a lot, but I'm telling you, when you're in game and you actually get used to this cameo, it is so easy. Like the game plan and what you're trying to do is so simple that it just works. Like I know right now it probably sounds more complicated than Jax, but as somebody who's played Jax for the past like year and a half, this is easy. Like this is a lot easier than playing Jax. So let's get into some of the stuff that I found. So final thoughts on this cameo and this team. So when I first started this video, I was about a week and a couple days into playing Tremor, and now I'm about 3.5 weeks. I've played him in multiple brackets. I've played him in pro competition. I've played him in tons of matchups with a ton of people. And I can say, I said at the beginning of this video that he was a solid substitute for Jax. I think he's just as good as Jax, if not even better in specific matchups and against specific players. I think the way that he helps her pressure and in general, getting people to respect her, allowing you to throw them more, having them fear you, fear the ambush after your strings, and all this stuff is really, really good. Like being able to do back 2-4, down back 1 on block, only using Tremor if they block it, and then getting a full combo and forcing them to respect that string. And then after you condition them, being able to throw them after back 2-4 and just have a whole bunch of different options is very, very, very strong. Ground pound works perfectly with Kitana. Her conversions are really good, great damage overall. And I feel like when I first started playing Tremor, the fear was, well, I'm using my entire Kameo bar for this, but with the cooldown changes and all his buffs, like none of that actually matters. I think it's a great Kameo, and I recommend everybody pick it up if you want to solo main Kitana. I think it's really good for this meta. For this meta right now, I would recommend Jax, Tremor, Sub-Zero, and that's probably all you really need. Anything else, of course, feel free to express yourself however you want, but I feel like those are what helps me the most as of right now. Other than that, that's really it. I hope you guys enjoyed the guide. If you guys have any questions, of course, feel free to ask below. Make sure you guys come to my personal Discord. I'll put it in below. It's just for hanging out and talking. I don't use it too often, but I really want to use it more. And then feel free to follow me on Twitter, add me on PlayStation, all that type of stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys all next time.